It's a pleasure to be with you all this morning. I am connecting from outside of Nigeria, just arrived here in Troa. Troa is a city in Portugal. And from here, I will touch base with Fatima, where Virgin Mary's apparition appeared 1907, October 13th. So I'll be there at the anniversary before I quickly return back to Nigeria for an event we're hosting this Saturday, the Nigerian Freestyle Football Championship. I will touch on that briefly. So when Arthur reached out to me to make some remarks this morning, if not for the fact that it was coming from him, I would have declined. Reason is that it's a very busy period for me right here. But being a young man that is maturing well, I am honored to join you guys in making this remark. I'll start off by joining Ephraim to say happy birthday to Arthur. When we started our journey, when he was still an undergraduate, and I think about who he has become today, I am indeed, honored and proud. Arthur, many more happy returns. You haven't seen anything yet. Your future will be far brighter and better, and you live a much more comfortable life, a much more impactful life in the years ahead. I make this as a prayer through Christ our Lord. Amen. Let me also say well done to Ephraim. I listened to his remarks, and quite very important things he has fed us with this morning. And I totally agree with every point he made, including the responses given to Daniel. If I was asked that same question, the same thing Ephraim said, I would have. So Ephraim, well done. I like what my boys are doing, and I'm sure when Oraka also comes on board, he will also do very well likewise. So well done to all of you. Proud of you guys. Now, let me go to the real reason I'm here. And it's about just talking about life purpose. And what I'm going to say will affect everybody. And it doesn't matter what you're doing and what stage you are. In fact, I dare say this is the most important conversation any human being can have. Not because it's coming from me, but because of the subject matter. We often use that word, purpose, but I'm not sure a lot of us do a deep dive as to the real meaning of that word, purpose. Sometimes we also say call, my calling. We interchange some of these words. What do they really mean? And there's a way I'm also going to connect this with an important point that Ephraim made, which is about authenticity. I totally don't believe in propaganda. I know some people use it to try to, but if you know what you're doing, I prefer in the H.E.Valentine syndrome. So be a good product and then figure out how to now sell that good product so that the integrity stays, because at the end of the day, we need to go back to this issue of purpose. And you can't really get to the point of your purpose in an impactful manner, in the manner is expected, if you are living by propaganda. Rather, it is when you are genuine about what you're doing and how that will touch many stakeholders, like I'm going to talk about. So there are three important aspects about purpose. The first is what I call your life purpose. Why are you on earth? Why do you think you are here? When we were in the catechism class, there's a way we used to respond to this, but I'll share that for now. We're all created for a reason. We're all in this world for a reason. Before we go into the various categories of those reasons, let's start with us, me, you. The first thing we usually deal with is how do we get comfortable in life? How do we attain certain joy, happiness, peace around us? How do we develop ourselves, build our capacities, and play to our strength, follow our life passion, and achieve our set goals? Whether it's by your career, who you marry, the family that you raise, all of these dovetail into your immediate life purpose. And there are certain things we can do to enable us achieve this and achieve them maximally. Ephraim's touch on storytelling is one of those. But before you tell a story, what are you talking about? What story do you have? How do you create a good narrative for yourself, a genuine narrative for yourself? Who are you? That's the starting point. Who you are must be about the integrity you have, your character, your competence, your compassion. You are totally aware of yourself. And in being aware of yourself, you do a SWOT analysis. You know your strengths, your weakness, your threats, and of course your opportunities. You know your SWOT, particularly focusing on your strengths and your weakness. Playing to your strengths to enable you to tap on the opportunities, and managing your weakness. If you understand this, you are living a good purpose already. But that's a small portion of the conversation. Your life purpose is important, but it's not sufficient. It takes us now to another level, what I call a higher life purpose. This is now talking about the others. When you understand that you do not live this life for yourself alone. In fact, beyond the fact that you are called to love another as you love yourself, this is not just a spiritual thing. This is a good thing, because our lives are such that leveraging on relationships will help us go even further in attaining our own personal life purpose. You are happier when you make others happy. You are happier when you sell and radiate joy. And so understanding that, it makes it imperative for you to begin to see people and like people and not be a sadist. It becomes part of you, it becomes habitual. When you see a fellow human being, you're in awe. The way I used to explain this thing, like now I'm in Troa, here, maybe I can hardly find any black person. If I'm in Lisbon or Porto, you see a lot of black people. I go to a place like when I used to attend Cybers or World Economic Forum, and we'll go to some of these remote locations, and you just look around you, you don't see a fellow black person. And then suddenly you see somebody who has a skin color. This is not being racist now, but this is just you saying, oh, wow, I don't even belong, I'm the only black person. And suddenly you see somebody, one or two persons, so you're excited already. Oh, wow, there's another black person. You're happier. not minding that you live with 100 million Black people in Nigeria, but because of your circumstance, why are you not the same person in Nigeria, happy that you're seeing a fellow Black person? When you understand the importance of it, when you're in Nigeria, you are equally as happy to see a fellow Black person. Sometimes we don't value what we have. There was somewhere I made a story. I was delivering a speech in Oka, and I used this analogy that when I was growing up, because I was son of a headmaster who my father wasn't well to do, but we lived a moderately comfortable life. We go to farm, pluck things, and then but we didn't value everything that was going on around us until much later. So when my father would go to the farm and pluck some mushrooms and gave it to my mother to use to cook and all that, we were usually, I personally was usually upset. This man cannot buy chicken or beef. He's not using mushroom to convert to meat. Then I just had a breakfast here. I go to fine dining and I see the way they package mushroom and I see even the price almost outweighing that of the chicken and beef. And then when you actually now eat it, say, wow, why didn't I appreciate it when my father was given to? How do we get to that level of contentment, that level of maturity? That's what I'm begging us to now understand. And now it's an injunction. Love one another as you love yourself. And in fact, love one another as I have loved you. That's another higher commandment. We are all created in the image and likeness of God. So what I usually tell people, even if you can't love a fellow human being, respect that person. If you can't respect that person, respect the God in that person, because even that person was created in the image. You're not the only one created in the image and likeness of God. And the key to mastering this is staying humble. When you suddenly realize that you are in a better class, may just be a privilege. It may just be because the circumstances you have found yourself, and in fact, it is not just maybe, it's a privilege from God. There's nothing you have done on your own, if not by the grace of God. So why don't we then stay humble, appreciate one another? And now, if you really, really now want to maximize impact, it's not just now about, appreciating fellow human being. It will take us to, okay, where do you make the greatest impact? And that will bring us to the conversation around politics. Now there's a highest level of life purpose, which is now going spiritual. So, Ephraim, there are two stories that you're going to tell after this exercise. We're going to engage on this further. You made mention as if spiritual conversation is not as sexy, so you won't get the hits. I can tell you that if you tell even that story better, sometimes we don't know how to sell the story better. Somebody can come here and start telling you, give your life to Christ and make life Christ your personal Lord and Savior. And if you're then some would, but when people understand that, just like I'm going to talk about now, then you can have a better story. So here's the point. You see, there is actually no genuine life purpose and life higher purpose if it's not anchored on God's divine purpose. Anything that we do, we can either achieve it by accident or by design. If it's by design, then it must be by God and through God, because He's the creator and the owner of the life. It's almost like you find yourself in a circle where there's only a pathway to exit. There's only a pathway to exit. Sorry, there's a B I'm trying to clear from here. There's only a pathway to exit. And just like ants that usually gather, and there's always a way. For some reason, I don't know how they know how to find a bread on the cupboard, and they climb, well, know the way to, and eventually get there. God creates a pathway. If you don't know that pathway, you're just going to be walking blindly, and a journey that ought to have taken you maybe 6 months may end up taking you 6 years. There are many of such stories in the Bible. If you truly and genuinely want to maximize your impact on earth, in other words, I'm connecting the three purposes now: your life purpose, impacting on others, and divine call, living God's purpose for you. Then we have to go back to the Creator, the man that brought you to this world, to say to him, what is my life purpose? Understanding how to connect, hear, respond is the best thing that can happen to you. In fact, there's a level of inner joy. Then you realize that things of the world will not actually be your driving force. For me, I am privileged that I am having this conversation, having seen life. I've seen life. For somebody who is maybe still in the university, he may not understand what I'm telling the way somebody who has gotten some level in life would have gotten. However, if he pays attention, it's even far better for him to understand it now than wait for him to make certain mistakes to understand it later. Why didn't I appreciate the mushroom when I was still in the primary school, secondary school with my father? Why am I appreciating it much later? If I understood this, I would have been happier even as a growing up child. So the earlier we understand some of this, the better. So if you're at this level, you just graduated, your focus is, how do I get a job? How do I get higher salary? How do I get promotion? How do I get visa? How do I travel abroad? How do I study for other degrees? How do I get married? How do I have children? How do I raise them? How do I, eventually get that life aggrandizement when I get appreciated? How do I give back to society? This is how we move, almost like the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. This is how, however, what we actually need to understand is that in all this, we can actually achieve a lot more, not only by playing to our strengths, not only by making sure we're touching others positively, but also making sure that in doing so, that God is at peace with us, that which he actually wanted me to do is what I'm doing. And the joy that radiates from there will be much, much more if I tick the box. Because in the end, a lot of us, if not all of us hearing from me this morning, agree that there is God and there is salvation. Salvation is the ultimate purpose of life. Because what will it profit a man if he gains the entire world? So I have had the privilege, like I was saying before, of having enjoyed life, having traveled to over 40 countries, having, basically lived in the best hotels and, attended many of world's best events, in quotes, from Grammys to Formula Ones and all of that. And if I say to you, it's all vanity, agree with me, it is, because I know so. And why did I go into politics? I was with a particular gentleman a few days ago before I left Lagos, and just 2 days ago. Um, and I reminded him we were together in Dubai with the president of Hilton the day I spoke about my entry into politics. And they were all like, "You're stupid, you're mad. Why do you want to throw away this thriving career?" And now I want to connect all these things now to politics because of the importance of it, the sheer nature of the importance. So I said to them, "This is what I think I must do." And they were like, "Are you out of your mind? Do you know where your career will take in another 5, 10 years? Do you know how murky the waters is? You can't trust human being, can't do this. No, 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 don't do this. In fact, don't even repeat this again." They went on and on. I was quiet and calm. And I said to them, "Then so what? If I enjoy all these things about life, build houses, own one in Dubai, in US, in different countries, own my own private jet, then so what?" And at the end of the day, I go back to Nigeria. I'm scared of moving around. I have to have soldiers and DSS and policemen to guard me. And my kids won't be comfortable coming home alone. I'll be scared that they may be kidnapped. The roads are there in the battered form. I can't even bring a limousine into Nigeria if I want to enjoy my ride. So what is life? Tell me, what actually is the life? And who is living the life in Nigeria? Is it Dangote or is Tony Gimobi, all of these people? Do they really enjoy life? Okay, if I decide, okay, you know what, even with all their private jets and co, how much peace do they really have? And if they decide, okay, or I decide to leave Nigeria and move to this Europe or anywhere in the world, it won't be long before I'm reminded that I'm already guilty until proven innocent. And I've seen there's a professor in Harvard, despite how highly placed this man is in the legal profession, when he goes to see the judge will almost want to walk him out, thinking he's the defendant, not knowing he's the lawyer, the defendant, because he's already adjudged guilty until proven innocent. So what am I saying? Our life is not going to be complete. We cannot say that we have attained our life purpose if we all live this life and go, and the story of Black people remain as they are today. And that is what led me into thinking, okay, how can this story be changed? What are the things that can be done? If anybody has any other ideas, should tell me. I summarize that into 3. But by far the most important is political leadership. How do we ensure the right people get into the office through the right process, doing the right things? How do we just achieve this? And if we can achieve it at a national level, by God's means, it can be achieved at the state level. And after all, Anambra is such an important city, important state in Nigeria. In fact, I dare say, in the world of today, Nigeria is the promised land that we saw in the Bible. It's not exactly what Jesus referred to them, but in the world of today, everything that's said about promised land, when you read any of those verses, you will think it's Nigeria that is describing, because it is. There's no other country as richly endowed as Nigeria. None. If you know of any, tell me, I'll prove you wrong. I can go into that debate with anybody. And if you go to Nigeria, if you come to Nigeria, Anambra or the rest of the Igbo, I can use that. It's like the Judea, because after all, we're in this eastern part, and Judea in the olden world is eastern part of Israel, and so there is a reason why we are all Christians in this part of the world. There's a reason why it's not by accident, it's by design. And therefore, if we're able to get the Southeast working well, that becomes the template we're going to use to fix Nigeria's problem. How do we get this done? This is why I said to myself, stop pontificating, stop theorizing, go in there and get a job started. And I'm happy how far we've come. In 2021, without any experience, came, beat over 15 other aspirants, became the candidate, and in fact, seemingly won the election, forget the declaration. And that declaration, I eventually understood it. I wasn't prepared enough for that assignment. But this time around, all kinds of gang-ups. I've said it to some certain quarters. I don't want to go public about what happened in Labour Party, but all of this were orchestrated to frustrate me out of being a candidate. And from jumping from Labour to APC, the gang-up intensified. So, but nobody's God. Let's keep watching the space. We're headed somewhere. Now, why am I touching on this? The key to us achieving our purpose is connecting with the divine will. And we need to marry politics, political leadership, and divine will as well. Until it's done, we are going to remain in the wilderness. No amount of soul can get us out of where we are. We have had only souls in the past. And if we leave things by just human design, it can only produce soul. But we need a David. And so when Pastor Paul Adefrasi used that parable, when he said just before 2023 election, that it's not going to go like we expect, a Saul will come first, after Saul, then David. I didn't really understand that parable until much later when I engaged him after just this year. And we went deeper into that conversation. And I had to even share my own thoughts to let him know that a David is not usually not by physical appearance, it's not by clout, it's not by... A David is somebody who is busy doing his stuff, that God will now say to Samuel, go to the house of Jesse and anoint him a future king. It has to be God's design. God did not even seek the permission of the Israelites. The same way, it wouldn't be about what Nigerians are thinking right now. It's God that will look at the heart of men and decide this is the person. So what we don't know is who the David is and when the David will come, whether it's 2027 or 2031. But the good news is that David is coming. But David coming, the only people that will understand and appreciate it are those who are prioritizing will of God. Not permissive will of God, but the sovereign will of God. There are two different things. Ato can come to me and say, pray for me, I want to marry. And I can pray for Ato and the girlfriend and they marry. Maybe they succeed, maybe they don't. Maybe God answers it, maybe God doesn't. It's a totally different thing from Ato going to God in prayer and say to God, I am willing to marry whoever you recommend to me as my wife. Please help me to make the choice. Even if it's a cripple that you show me, that's ability to submit to God's divine will is the game changer. And that has been missing in politics. And something that God of yesterday is different from God of today, that what happened in Israel then cannot happen today. That's a big fallacy. The same thing. And so for those of you who think you have a problem, who think there's no job, who think that insecurity is rife, it will remain so until we find a David. So you better love spirituality. For storytellers, better go and find out to tell this story so that people will hook up to this and run with it, because that's the next where we're headed. And this is not just me telling this. There are many prophecies around what I'm talking to you about. Dig deeper. But it will require a repentant nation. Go back to 2 Chronicles 7:14. That's one of my favorite verses. If my people who are called by my name can humble themselves, repent of their evil ways, and seek and call on me, I will hear them, I'll forgive them, and I'll heal their land. I believe that until we get to where we can change our wider story, not our personal story. That's why when I see some of the pastors who focus on personal miracles, that's good. But I'm looking for societal miracle. Until we have a David, we are wasting our time. The message I sent to those my friends in Dubai, I said to them, if my life remains like this and eventually I die, I would have died in vain. My core purpose in life today is to see how we can change the story of Black people in the world by leveraging God's will, connecting it to my divine purpose, my life purpose, and my purpose to impact others. And the greatest way to impact others is through political leadership. And this is why we must prioritize politics over and not play it like we've always played it, play it differently. To connect all these dots about me, others, and God. Three key things I will drop before I round up. I'm going to round up in another 5 minutes. I want people to understand the importance of being emotionally, and now let me add, spiritually intelligent. It is something that if we do it well, it becomes life-changing. Similarly, about a culture of continuous improvement. And then number 3 is pursuit of excellence. These 3 are 3 keys I usually give to younger generation. Master these things well, and you'll be a better person. You will touch lives different. You will also live the purpose God has created you. In fact, in these things, you will find the same commandment God has given. Let's touch on the first one, which is emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence consists of 3 things, just like we talked about life purpose, others, and God. Emotional intelligence connects on those. Emotional intelligence tells you about, number 1, you are just a mere human being. Master thyself and be personally authentic to yourself. Don't lie to yourself. If you lie to others, tendency is that you are already lying to yourself. But if you're genuine and authentic to yourself, tendency is that you'll be genuine and you also not lie to other people. How do you master this? It is important we understand that, you see, this life, like I said before, every human being has his strengths. You also have your weakness. Owade is okay. This world is not complete for anybody. Mention the person, whether it's Zuckerberg, whether it's the owner of Elon Musk, whether it's Donald Trump. This life is not complete for anybody. So stop wasting your time. But know your strengths, know your weakness. Play to your strength and manage your weakness. If you master this, you create a balance for yourself. I'm writing a book on balancing, finding equilibrium. And there I'm going to say a lot of things around this. But mastery of yourself will help you to manage your emotion. You don't go extreme, whether it's about loving or about hating, because both extremes are terrible. Those who love extremely are those that can murder people out of passion. Those who also hate are already out of this world. Balance, know when to love, know when to, you can only know this. And when you know this, you actually realize that you can be happy irrespective of what you're going through in life. Your life does not depend on, so you can't even say a thing like, Arthur upset me, Ephraim annoyed me. People who say that are people who don't think about what I'm talking about well enough. You can decide and say, Arthur did something and I got upset. I chose to be upset because I can also decide not to be upset. By the same thing Arthur has said, I can give you examples in this regard. When you master yourself, that's the beginning part of being emotionally intelligent. And the second part is respecting others, courtesy to a fellow human being. If you watch, the same thing God has said that we should do. Yourself, love others. But this time, just show some simple courtesy. Just don't assume you are better than every human being, just like this our governor usually does. The only wise thing God has created. No, you're not. In fact, if not for God, you won't even be where you are today. Maybe you would have even died. The truth of the matter is that the life we have is a privilege. So understand that it's not even yours. So there's nothing to boast about. Human beings are mere mortals that a tiny mosquito, see, a bee just was almost looking for her to run away from a bee. That's who we are. We're that vulnerable. So why do you then behave like you're God? You're not God. So realizing that makes you to humble yourself and show courtesy and respect. If you bring it to some circumstance, you find that it is even not a surprise that some of the big ideas that usually take some corporations to a high level don't usually come from the CEOs. It can come from a megad, it can come from a cleaner who will just give you, wow, it will strike you, wow. So how do you accommodate everybody, live a more inclusive life? And how do you, whether it's a younger person or women, ideas that can change the society can come from them. But if you don't give courtesy and respect for a fellow human being, you will be missing a lot. And then the third one is the social awareness. You can even connect the social awareness to the divine will. So being emotionally intelligent and being spiritually intelligent is a game changer. If you master this, you will live a better life as a person. You will touch more lives as a person, and you'll connect to God's purpose as a person. Second part of this toolkit is the Kaizen principle, a culture of continuous improvement. We can do better, we can be better in anything that we're doing if we master it. I won't dwell too much on this because of time, but it's something that I can spend a whole day talking about. It's a game changer. It's about cutting waste in our life. Little gradual improvements. That's how societies evolve. We are not very good at it. We celebrate status quo. We should be challenging status quo. We should be asking questions. Even in things about spirituality, ask questions. Prophet Habakkuk had to ask God some questions. People engage God and ask questions. Don't just take anything. So somebody cannot just, it must make sense. And I can go into debate and tell you how Christianity, spirituality is logical. It follows simple logic. Even what I just spoke to you about God intervening in politics is logical. You cannot tell me there is God and that God of yesterday is something is same, and then you still tell me that same God does not interfere in the affairs of men. No, the reason it appears is not interfering because of our iniquities. And so if Mr. Okeke worships an idol, but is committed to worshiping that idol, everything about him, he gives all the reverence, makes all the sacrifice. Of course, that small idol will be doing his bidding. And we who now serve the bigger God are lukewarm about it. He will spit us and ignore us. So when Babylonians defeated the Israelites, it's not because Babylonians were behaving better than Israelites. Babylonians were worshiping a tiny God. But Israelites who were worshiping were abusing faithlessness, complaining God abandoned them. And he punished them by allowing Babylon to. So that's what we are going through. God looks down to find a man after his heart. He's finding it difficult to find any. Forget these are spiritual leaders. Sometimes, they're even the bigger problem. They are the ones God will hold more accountable. And this is why it appears as if God is not interfering. No, that's why I go back to, if my people who are called by my name, this is simply logical. And for some people who just think that biblical stories are, I'm going to Fatima, where I'm going to go to that ground where Virgin Mary said, I'm going to appear for 6 times every month, every 13th of May up to October. And she did appear. So if I've gone to Israel, I've gone to Rome, I've gone to where Jesus was born, so all these are not some fairy tale. And it still appears to people today. So for those who think that Occitan is the way, God saved them. Finally, is the pursuit of excellence. Matthew 5:16. Let our light so shine before men, so that people will see our good works and glorify our God who is in heaven. How do we make sure our life transcends the ordinary? Pay attention to what you can do to excel. Anything that's worth doing is worth doing well. It's not just about how you tell a story, how you wash your clothes, how you dress, how you iron, how you sweep your house, how you pay attention to your spouse and your children, how you do everything. Show excellence. If you bring all this together, I guarantee you'll live a much better life. And at the end of the day, salvation will not elude you. God bless you. Thank you.
The topic you treated today is really vast, and honestly, there is never how many times you hear it. We don't have something we need to pick out to work on. But here my questions are: we talk about a purposeful life, or living a life of purpose for a youth or someone who is still growing and then finding your way in life, business, maybe academics and all of that. It could get a bit overwhelming, especially when you are within the age of 25 to 30 or 35-ish. And maybe you have a lot you think you're good at. You mentioned playing to your strengths. And then the pressure of which of these do I focus on? When at what point do I digress? And then maybe you don't have the resources to actually go into all of this or explore all of the strengths that you have because you're not sure yet where your life is tilting to. And then you're looking at the society, things are phasing out faster than they even started. And maybe you're focusing on this particular area this time, and then you're like, okay, this is what my research can afford me now. And then you're seeing that it seems like it's going to phase out soon. And you're, okay, should I drop this and then pick up something else and focus on that one? Do I combine all of them at the same time? And I think I'm asking a lot of questions at once. But let me also bring it down to this. Was there ever a time because you mentioned that at the position where you are now, you have seen life and you can tell that some of the things that we clamor for now are vanities. So can I ask, was there ever a time where you were worried that you may not get to where you are now, or maybe the process may not all fit together? Did it ever get overwhelming? Because I don't know if you understand this, but this is my question. And how can one go about it?
All right, thank you. This is a very, very important question. It's a very practical question that we all face and actually continue to face. No matter, as long as you're alive, this is our reality. I tell everybody who cares to hear that I'm a child of grace. And the reason is that I didn't start off with some big vision. I'm sure if you had asked me what I wanted to become when I grew up, that kind of question that everybody gets asked, I was just being trendy. Because I thought I was intelligent, I would mention medical doctor. My being a child of grace is coming from the fact that I wasn't the typical bookworm, somebody who just glued to his book, but I found out that when I just read a little, I go to class and I perform some of my colleagues. So I put in effort, no doubt. And no matter how little my effort is, God has a way of maximizing it. This is me from primary to secondary school. So when I left secondary school, I was the only student that the principal invited to become a teacher. Then I taught physics and maths. And then when I eventually wanted to go in for medicine, that's when my eldest brother called me and we held a conversation. Why medical doctor? Why medicine? And I couldn't answer that question. Maybe I just wanted the sound of doctor something. Um, I believe in his mind, he didn't want me to go through that journey for whatever reason he had. But he was very creative in the way he talked me out of it. It was like, do you like the sight of blood? I said, no, I don't. So why do you want to study medicine if you don't like the sight of blood? Okay, what do you like? What do you think? I said, I actually like business. So, okay, what's your best subject? I said, mathematics. But you know, in writing JAM for medicine, maths is only been one of the options, only physics, chemistry, and biology, and in English. So you're not going to abandon your best subject. So why don't you do a quantitative course? So we now started looking at, okay, economics, accounting, finance, management, marketing, started analyzing each of these, and we came up with the fact that accounting was better than them, whether true or not. This is our conclusion. And that's how I enrolled into accounting. Now, the first point I want to give to you is about mentorship. There are people who have gone through the journey, find them, genuine people who mean well, they can guide you. In fact, the very first point I can now tell you is go to God in prayers. I am special because God always put somebody at the point I needed something. And I'll tell you another story. When I went to UNM, and I had said to myself, I wouldn't let anybody beat me in class. True to time, God helped me. I made the best result in the faculty and in the department. And one of my in my third year, there was a course called Financial Management, taught by then Dr. Ozigbo. And he had said that, and Mr. Somoga, two lecturers, and they said that the winner in the best student in the course would have a cash prize. It was one course that most people dreaded. There were final year students who couldn't graduate because of this course. So they brag about the fact that it's a difficult course. And when I got into the first semester, I didn't really see anything difficult about the course. Luckily, by grace of God, I was one of the two A's. By the time we got to second semester, this same lecturer had now been employed by now Merchant Bank as an ED, executive director. And so I didn't see him after the second semester exam. As we're now entering the first year in our final year, one day a brand new car drove in and it was the lecturer, came out, and I ran after him. I said to him, you owe me money. And he said, how do you mean? So you said the best student in your course will get a cash prize. And so he asked me, how do I know I'm the best student? I said, well, in the first semester, there were two A's. I was one of the A's. In the second semester, there was only one A, and I was the only A. So I don't need any magician to tell me that I'm the best in the course. So he now said, okay, you will have your youth service done in now Merchant Bank. That's your prize. I hugged him and I was happy that, oh, I have already secured banking job in my first year in the university, in the final year, first semester in the final year. So, but guess what happened? This is God positioning me as a banker. But when I went to Lagos, I started hearing people talking about oil companies and they pay more. And so I wanted to abandon that, my option to go to Chevron. And I still needed the same man. Now he's become my mentor. So I had to go. I lied to him. I lied to him that I went to the NYC camp. I told them to post me to now Merchant Bank, but they now posted me to Chevron. I don't know what to do. So he said, don't worry, I have friends in Chevron. I'll let me. He now brought up paper and wrote a note for me to now take to Chevron to serve as a youth corper. Only for me to get to the wall of Chevron, they pested it. Only geologists and engineers, a brother rejected. I ran back to him. I said, I beg, take me back in Amateur Bank. So it's almost like a Jonah. God was positioning me as a banker, but I wanted to do my own. So it's always good to connect to God's will, honestly. So in this banking, my career exploded. Just what I did in that now merchant bank was the first assignment met Mr. Buzo to just like me. He was in love with me that when my service ended, he cried that I was leaving because he wanted me to return, but I had gotten a job in Diamond Bank. And within 6 months, only in Diamond Bank, I was voted the best staff of Diamond Bank in Nigeria. On the fifth year in banking, a bank was coming to Warri looking for branch manager. Anywhere they went to, they were told, go and look for Valentine. They came, negotiated, gave me a brand new car, and I became a branch manager. After 1 year, I broke even. Then I left Warri, moved to Abuja, and became a regional manager within another 1 year. So this is how, then when I tell people, I hadn't traveled for in my first 30 years, I hadn't gone to Ghana, how much more, even own an international passport. But when I gained this Children's Scholarship, went to England, they just literally took my passport, my wife's passport, my son's passport, put visa, paid for flight, paid for everything, made us a big man. We went to England for the first time as a king. And every month they would send people to check on me, how I'm doing in class, and eventually left with a distinction. And when I came back, I started handling international role, became head of international banking. I was now visiting 15 countries in a single year. Now, why am I telling you this story? I'm telling you the importance of connecting to God's divine will. When it appears overwhelming sometimes, I tell people, do the much you can. In fact, I don't believe in there's a way our boss, Tony Elmele, used to describe it. He uses the word, the tyranny of all and the supremacy of and. Stop doing, I can do this or this. It's actually when you have some inner peace and you have that sense of balancing that I've spoken about, you can actually do a lot more than you're doing today and still be happy at it. In my dad's youth copper days, I was a copper who was working like a full-time staff. Even after CD, I'll come back to the office. By evening, I'm in Yaba attending ICANN lesson. By weekend, I'm traveling to Enugu, back to UNN for my MBA in banking and finance. I was trying to acquire as much as possible at a young age. So by the time I was like 25, you're talking about, I had become a chartered accountant, had my MBA, CIT, and different bodies. So if it's about qualification, there's no job that will not be fit. And then you have good manners, being emotionally intelligent to go with it. And good news for me is that I kept serving in the service industry. Service industry makes you, everything training that you receive is about making others happy. So a lot of this came natural, both nature and nurture. Already by being born by a headmaster who is a catechist, we learn to be respectful both to God and to human beings. So that already was there. And then finding myself in the industry where when you see others happy, that's when you're happy, help me. And then being close to God also brought it all together. In summary, play to your strength and let it make sense. I don't believe in just people following passion. Passion must make sense. If throwing javelin is your passion, by all means, you can do that as a hobby. But if you don't know how you can monetize throwing javelin so they can put money on your table, and then it's a banking job that is coming your way, you better love the banking job. And don't tell me you're choosing one over the other. Do both. Find ways to combine it all. Do three. When I think about Mark Zuckerberg managing Facebook, and I see the revenue of Facebook is almost like GDP of Africa. So if one man can be managing all this, stop telling me you're being overwhelmed. I'm sorry. It doesn't make sense to me. There's a lot more we can do. And do that in a dignified manner. And so overwork has never killed anybody. But if you do that and you are distressed in the way you do it, so when I'm on holiday, I'm working. And when I'm working, I'm on holiday. How do you balance it? You don't have to wait until you leave your shop. Oh, I will shut my phone. I'm not going to talk to anybody. No, every day, make it fun. By the people you engage with, your colleagues, how you relate with them, make it fun. Sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes you have some monsters around you. Learn them, manage them well, and let people even say, how do you even manage this monster? Everybody hates this man, but how come he's working well with you? People have said that of me. So I can say that if there are more, we can have a private conversation. I can tell you a bit more, but in the interest of time, let me stop here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Your Excellency. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So does anybody have any other thing to ask before he finally takes his leave? I want something to say? Okay, very much.
All right. The name I just want to ask a simple question.
So I can
Concerning the culture of continuous development. Now, you said continuous improvement and development. Now, you talked about doing two things. You gave a scenario where somebody was given an offer of a banking job and he has something he's passionate about, but has not learned how to probably monetize it or know how to do the business side. Now, in terms of development, let's say I'm practical now. Let's say the person's passion is not related to the banking job, but he's still passionate about that thing. How do you continuously develop yourself doing two things that are not too related to each other? But one is your passion, but then the other one is more like a job or something you are basically doing to earn. How do you continuously or effectively develop yourself in doing more than one thing at the same time? Thank you, sir.
Okay. Let me quickly respond to this. And I'm going to give you a real life example. So first is my usual definition of entrepreneurship is not just you running your own business. That's just a part of it. In fact, the far more important one is you having an ownership spirit in anything that you're doing, which takes us to that same saying, what is worth doing is worth doing well. Meaning that even as an employee, having an entrepreneurial mindset. I won many awards in my sphere because I go into anything that I do with all the passion that I have. When I was given head of embassies and multilaterals, I thought it was a punishment. All of a sudden, I was in investment banking, and Tony Elumelu invited me to his office and said, there are a lot of opportunities and we need to be able to manage the embassies and this, and even as we're planning to expand, we need to have a good relationship, blah, 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 blah. And so he would like us to create a new office called Embassies and Multilaterals. And he would like me to go and head it. And I left wondering what just happened. because these are usually dry areas. Do you know what a multilateral is? Like World Bank, IFC, all these bodies. Before they think of changing their banking institution or even embassy, maybe in 4 years, they're still using one bank. So am I going to remain idle without results for this number of period? How does it, maybe this man wants to punish me. Have I done anything to deserve this punishment? But I just said to myself, I'm going to give it my best. I'm going to give it my all. And the way things happen in life, trust me, if you prepare yourself, and you see how nature begins to align things for you, and that's God. It wasn't up to 3 days. Flipping a newspaper, I just saw U.S. mission in Nigeria advertising for banking services. That they listed all the things they want to do, and so this is going to be a competition. As I said to myself, we'll die here today. I went back to Tony and said, let's create a cross-functional team. I need both IT, operations, embassy, all of that together so we can create. By the time we were done, just the presentation alone, I just said this would be the best presentation anybody would have seen in Nigeria. I don't care. When we're done, I called KPMG. I said, there's something, the way you laminated one proposal sent to us, please. I said, oh, they do it in-house. I rushed there. I entered the Okada, got to the embassy, like literally 3 minutes to the closing deadline. And that's how I submitted it. And I breathed. Before I could get to the office, Tony Elumel had already received a phone call from the US consulate that he just saw our proposal. He has never seen anything like that. The same night, Tony said, please invite all the people that work with you to my house tonight and let's pop some champagne. We have not won the bid though. Just the commendation he got already was a good signal. And before you know it, we won the bid. So we started providing. So when you started seeing you have to go to UB and pay for your visa fee, in fact, within a month, I set up an office in NAPEX. Nobody has ever created a banking office that requires CBN license. Now, what am I telling you? What I'm saying to you is be passionate about what you are meant to do. Don't be a laggard. Don't allow people to say good riddance to bad rubbish. Do well in that. Now, there's another passion you have. I'm also saying that passion better be something that will bring money. Use wisdom to think about it. Say prospects. There's a way to change the trend. Okay, how would this make sense? If the other things are lying, you don't do proper feasibility study. We can take another time to talk about this in more detail. Nonso Okpala is an example of what I want to give to you. When I was in Transcorp as CEO, he was the CFO of Hess Holdings. And so he spotted some opportunities and we were all working, but he started this company. And so usually by weekend, he spends his time on this personal company. So doing outside hustle is important. Employers will tell you, no, don't do any other thing. It's not true. It's only when you are taking the time meant for the main job into what else you're doing, that's where they get offended. If you're already doing well, guess what? You'll be almost indispensable to them. So they know that you are adding more value than what they are paying you. So you're already an asset, you're not a liability. And upon all that, you start your own. If you are doing somebody else's job well, you will do your own even well. That's the truth. And but if you have that mindset of it's not my job, it's not my father's business, you will not do well in your own personal business. Take it for granted. So when you are now doing this stuff, like Nonso started up VFD, for the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and he was very accountable. He learned how to manage, maybe because he's a CFO, he prepared him well. And that's why you need to, again, enroll in a lot of courses to improve yourself. Self-improvement helps. The reason I did well was because I did a lot of self-improvement while we were in the university. I was already going for IT lessons. So when they gave me the first assignment in Now Merchant Bank, I knew what to do. I wasn't, before I did my first job, the man exclaimed, he has never seen anybody who did this well. So when he started that company, and by the time he got to 8th year, the company was blowing up. And so what we used to do, any bonuses, we would channel it to Nonso's company. And so, because every month he will send us a mail, this is where the company is, this is the profit, and it's going to do rights issue. And so if you want to increase your stake, this is, so we're not even competing with ourselves. Then I used to own up to 10% of VLD Group. And my friend, they'll be about something, Ade, and all of that. So it was majorly all the staff investing in one of our colleagues' business. And 2 days ago, I was at a shareholder event in Radisson that he organized. You need to see where he's already targeting asset base of about 300 billion naira in the next 2-3 years. It's about 200-something billion already. For a company, he started as a side hustle. What I'm saying to you is, it's not just about, some people will tell you, oh, my passion is to play game. Just tell me how that playing game will fetch money on the table. Let your passion be the right passion. And then don't do this or this. That's the point I made before. Do this and this and this. There are ways to do it. Get some people who are competent to get it started. Give them oversight. And when you now see that that thing requires your attention and it can now pay your bill, you can quit the employment you're doing and go in there. I like people who transit that way. Some people will just stop a job. When I start experimenting, most time they crash land and then it's a problem. But if you're already working and you started something and you're using other people to prove it, that if you now want to take it to the next level, you are just gonna like that ascend. So that's the trick, that's the strategy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Excellency. We've had a lot of you.
Arthur was working with me and been doing a lot of side hustles, and that side hustle is paying. And he didn't even tell me the side hustle, and see where he is now. You muted your line, so I can't hear what you're saying now, Arthur.